Hey guys, Ash here, a little more flat-chested than the last time you saw me. I had my I had my breast implants taken out, which is called a breast explant, and I am feeling great physically. I'm mentally getting strong. I've had a lot of changes in a short amount of time. I'm only 11 days post-explant. But I've had a lot of revelations during this time, and I want to share those, and I want to create a conversation about body positive, self-love, this whole, movement about just embracing different body types, but truly inhabiting that, because I feel like it's this trend that we're not fully inhabiting and embracing. So I want to start first by just giving you guys a quick little tidbit about how I'm doing physically. I'm actually mind blown with how quickly I'm seeing results. I was not expecting this. I actually thought I was going to have to go through like months of therapy with my functional medicine doctor, which I will still be following up on once I get my blood results for specifically exactly what toxins are in my body. However, Rowan's crying. I'm already feeling great. So like my body's just naturally detoxing. I have been having like a lot of healing foods, including like ginger, turmeric, a lot of bone broth, like homemade soups, a lot of smoothies that are full of like all these greens, and I feel really good. I mean, I eat like that on a general basis, but I made sure that I was really focusing on all those foods, and without a doubt they had some sort of impact on how quickly my body's detoxing. So the major changes I've seen so far are my skin. I cannot believe how much more moist my skin is. I know that's a gross word to some people, so I apologize. I can't believe my skin. Like I was always dry. I was always like this. My skin is a lot brighter. I was looking really pale, and I know around my 35th birthday, which is just back in March, I remember coming out publicly and saying, I've been feeling like I look really old lately, and I don't understand, and I'm thinking about getting Botox, and kind of just going through that process publicly. And I would even see pictures of myself with Matt, and I'd be like, I just feel like I look so old. Like, what is going on? And I feel like a lot of that has been removed. Like, I feel beautiful. Like, I can't explain it. Like, I just feel like I have so much more color in my face, and my dark circles aren't as bad. And a lot of you guys probably didn't see those things, but I did. And I was being a little bit too hard on myself, I realize now. But I'm happy to say that has improved drastically. My energy has improved like leaps and bounds, which is like mind-blowing. I'm usually a really high energy person, but the last several months I hadn't been, and I kept on attributing it to losing my mom, and also winter, and just not being able to exercise because I herniated my back. Like, I had all these excuses, but those things still happened, and it's not like I've had all these crazy revelations in the last 11 days about those things mentally, but my focus regardless has gone through the roof. Or sorry, my energy through the roof. So that has been incredible. And what Matt notices the most is my hands. Because I have hypothyroidism, my extremities are often really cold. And I'm always like, God, can you turn up the heat? Like, and even in the summertime, like even when I get hot, like he's like dripping sweat. And I'm just like, oh, it's cozy. Like I'm just cold a lot. And I wasn't expecting a lot of these changes to happen. And he was just holding my hand, and he's like, I can't believe how warm your hands are. Like, he had become accustomed to holding my hand all the time and it being like an ice cube. So my circulation has obviously increased. And the one thing is, I had no idea it was affecting my circulation, like no clue. And obviously that's where I got the color back on my face. I'm having a lot more like warmth in my hands. My herniated disc has been like if you guys don't see me walking often, but like I'm still limping a little bit because I have some nerve damage, which also creates some coolness in the one side of my leg, and even that has improved. So yeah, a lot of positive things have been happening physically already from my breast explant. So I am so happy I made the decision. I knew in my gut I was, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hesitant still, because I wasn't necessarily excited about being with no breasts again. And I loved my boobs, and I was just not that long ago thinking of getting bigger ones, and after breastfeeding and all that. And so yeah, I wasn't totally ready. So But nonetheless, I knew in my heart that I needed to do it. Something just felt right. So I'm really, really happy I did. And even before I get my results back from Dr. Arsenault, like I just know what the results are going to be. Like there's going to give me all of the plastics and metals and everything that are in my breast implants. That's going to be in my body for sure, without a doubt now. So just because of the drastic change. So yeah, some really positive things have been happening. But I kind of wanted to talk about body image because this has inspired a lot of personal growth and just introspection. That's the right word. You know, you guys know what I mean. Just really analyzing like why am I dealing so well with this? And I actually thought after explanting that I would be grieving a lot over losing my breasts. I anticipated that I was going to be crying. I anticipated that I wouldn't want Matt to see them. I anticipated that I wasn't going to be wanting to have sex with him, especially with a bra off. I anticipated that I was going to feel uncomfortable in many of my clothes. I knew I would come around and I was excited about some of the things, but I just knew I was going to go through a grieving process. At least that's what I expected. And I haven't. Maybe that's yet to come. I am only 11 days, but I think what I've learned and what I want to have a conversation about, so please chime in at any time. I see all you guys popping on here, so thank you very much, is that from the time I was 22 to even 6 months ago to now, I realized that body image and this whole body positive movement is so much more up here than people realize. And I wrote down a couple things I want to talk about to point out to you guys because it's really powerful. Like before, I thought I looked more attractive with bigger boobs. And it's not like my boobs were huge. Like let's be serious. Like I had a C cup. Come on. Like it wasn't like they were huge, but I thought they looked sexy and I thought that I felt more confident in them. And that was more of like my interpretation of what was kind of like, I don't know, erotic and yeah, just sexy. I don't know, like, and then all of a sudden I had to have a shift in that. Like I had to have an acceptance that I'm getting these out and I'm getting them out for health reasons, but I have to accept, so I am not freaking miserable, that I am gonna be sexy and beautiful and confident without them. And so it was really, and it's not easy, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying like change your mind and all of a sudden you'll feel sexy with all of your insecurities. All I'm saying is that it is a choice. And where the choice comes in is how you perceive beauty. So what I kind of did as my own personal homework before I went and I took my implants out is I went and I found a bunch of women that I find stunning that really had no breasts at all, that were very small chested. And I basically like studied them. Like I just looked at tons of pictures. I started following them on social media and I admired them. And I admired them before. I just never looked at them and I was like, oh, they're small breasted. I just looked at them and thought they were beautiful. But I started to focus more in on like, I never noticed that. Like I never noticed their breasts and it never took note to me before, but now I'm gonna notice it and I'm gonna think it's beautiful and I'm gonna feel beautiful like that. And that is my choice. I went from a B cup pre-implant to a C cup to now I'm literally probably a double A. Now, keeping in mind that my breasts might change, they might fill out because the fat has been compressed by the implant and the doctor said it could kind of go like and open back up and fill out. So there is some chances it might, but it might not. And I have to accept that I am flatter now than I was before I even got breast implants in. And part of that is breastfeeding. Part of that is the trauma that I did to them by having them. And you know, if that compression stays down, part of it is a little bit of weight loss. Yeah, there's just been a lot of changes. So I just want to talk about self-love and body positive because I think that this is a trend going on right now. But like I said, I don't think that we really live it, breathe it, sleep it, all that. So one thing I wanted to touch on, some stats, which I thought was really interesting. Not surprising, but interesting. So 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies in like North America, basically in American culture. 91% of women. I would be really interested to hear on what the percentage of men is. I know that there are men that aren't super I don't know, like into their bodies, and there's also men that are really into their bodies. So I know the percentage probably isn't going to be as low as I would anticipate, but there's no way it's 91%. Like, that's a lot. What's really interesting is out of these 91% of women, only 5% naturally have the capability to change their body into what is considered American beauty. So what we see in the magazines, what we see in pop culture, what we see on reality TV shows, like all that kind of stuff, so 91% of us apparently are not happy with our bodies, but 5% of us only can actually change our bodies naturally into what would be perceived as beauty. So something interesting to kind of sit on and digest, because if that is how unhappy we are, the amount of people that are unhappy but they can't change it, are you just going to constantly strive for that change, or are you going to try and find some satisfaction, some happiness with who you are right now? And maybe that means your body will still change, or maybe that means you will actually get some sort of enhancement, or even taking part of your breast off. Like, there's people that get breast reductions, or there's people that get liposuction. So there are some things that you still may change, but naturally only 5% can change it. So just something to consider. It's a very interesting stat, because that is a massive percentage change. Another interesting thing I learned is that 40% of women will go through cosmetic surgery that physically, financially can afford it and have access to it, because obviously it's very different in different cultures. They perceive beauty very different than the American culture. 40% of women will actually go through with it, only 20% of men. What this tells me is that, God damn it, we're too hard on our bodies. We're trying to lead this whole body positive, movement, but still 40% of us will change to change our bodies and pay for that to be changed. And why are men so much easier on themselves than women? I would love to hear some of your answers. And before I go into my next thing, before I lose it, I just want to see what Claire said. If only we could see ourselves the way others see us, we would all be so much more confident in our own skin. Yes, Claire, thank you, because that's another thing I wanted to touch on. So the actual definition of body image is the subjective, underline that one, picture of mental image of one's own body. So it's how we picture our own body and what we picture as right or wrong with our own bodies. That's what body image is. That's not how other people see us. And it's not what necessarily culture thinks is attractive. It's what we see. Our own body image is subjective, depending on what you define as beauty, what you define as attractive. Subjective, the mental image of your own body. And I just find that fascinating, because you're right, Claire, because it is so different compared to how others see us, because we are so critical of ourselves. Another interesting stat when I was doing a little bit of research for this Facebook Live was that young girls have a far less self-love and body positive image if they watch a lot of reality TV. I found that like an interesting stat. So they feel like they're not as attractive, little girls, if they watch a lot of reality TV, because a lot of reality TV is focused on beauty, at least like the popular ones, like the pop culture ones. So yeah, something interesting for those of you that have like preteens or teen daughters is that watch what they're watching, whether that's through YouTube or, it's on TV, if you have any sort of management over that, obviously when they're at friends' houses, because that decreases their positive body image. So interesting stat. Another thing is the mental representation one creates about beauty in themselves and others. So that's body image as well. A mental representation one creates about beauty. One creates. It's kind of what I was saying before. It's what you create, what you think is beautiful, how you're defining beautiful. And That comes in all different shapes and sizes. It's your choice what you think is beautiful. And you could think all of them are beautiful, or you could choose one and you narrow in on one and you focus on one, and that's the only thing that's acceptable to you. And then you diet and you over-exercise and you modify your body and you do this and you do that and you criticize and you hate and you get angry and like you do all these things. And it's honestly, it's just how you think beauty is represented. So instead of like, I challenge you guys, myself included. It's not like all of a sudden I'm some like friggin' expert on this and I have so much confidence. Like I still have insecurities. My butt is really flat right now too from not exercising. Not too pleased with it. But I have to accept it, and it's just the way it is. And I know it will change again when I can exercise, and it's never gonna be a Kim Kardashian butt, and it's probably never gonna be as big as I potentially want it to be, but it's still cute and I can still make it strong. But so it's all perception, and it's finding beauty. Like we all, like if we had a friend gain 40 pounds, we would not be like, wow, you look gross. You look at them, they're still so beautiful because you're seeing what's inside. You see what's inside. Like it doesn't even faze you. Like it was like back when Matt gained 50 pounds. Like I honestly, it did not faze me. Like I don't care. And all I saw was on, like, I love him. I think he's sexy no matter what. I just want him to be healthy. That's obviously a concern because I want him to live long and feel good. But how we look at others, we're so much easier on them. I mean, there are some really critical people out there, some very judgmental people out there. When they're out and about, they'll judge, they're sitting down at a table and they're judge. But you know what? That's the anomaly. Like the general population does not look around and judge everyone. We look around and we see beauty in so many different things, but also when we're looking at ourselves, we're like not attractive. Why is that? Like, why are we defining that? So the big thing that I've learned in these last 11 days is I was like, wow, I have learned that I feel so much more attractive just feeling more energized. I feel such more attractive taking my health into my own hands. I feel so much more attractive that I did something that I knew was going to maybe make me insecure. So I'm proud of myself. I feel attractive because I'm choosing to find small boobs attractive again. I actually found them attractive in other people. For some reason, I just didn't find mine attractive. I don't know why. And I'm just choosing to find them attractive again. And let's be serious. Like I have scars from like here to here. Like they're going to look very interesting. I'm going to call them badass scars, but like they are not the pop culture what looks attractive in breasts. They're probably going to have some wrinkles now. Like they're just not going to look the same, and I have to accept that. And I'm actually surprising myself with how much I don't care. And I think it's because I prepped myself. I did my homework. I was watching all those other girls that I thought was stunning with small boobs. And I prepped myself to feel beautiful like this. I actually showed them to Matt as soon as I got my wrap off. I'm surprised. I've walked around naked. We have had sex. Like I'm surprised at how well I've done. And I know it has to do with my mindset. Because if I was to rewind and I would say I wasn't ready to get these out, like I wasn't mentally, physically ready to get these out, I would be struggling more. But I prepped myself and I redefined what beauty meant for me, right? Like I've never ever judged a friend that's small breasted, like Kaylee. Like I look at her and she's stunning. I was never like, wow, Kaylee has really small boobs. But she was just beautiful. And I'm like, why am I looking at me and not thinking I'm as attractive? I was so worried that Matt wasn't going to find me as attractive with boobs. Or sorry, without. And I was so worried. And I was like, you know what? It comes with my confidence and how I'm feeling and how I'm walking into a room and how I'm holding myself and how I'm representing beauty and strength and badassery. And yeah, so I just think it's a big takeaway from this experience is not, hey, breast implant illness is real. It's even more than that. It's more of like self-acceptance, self-love, talking to yourself that way, challenging yourself on the way that you perceive your own beauty, stretch marks, extra rolls, you know, more moles and freckles than you had when you were younger, your hair's thinning. Like, challenge yourself on these beauty concepts. Challenge yourself and redefine what you think is beautiful, because I wouldn't have thought this was beautiful. Like, if you told me at 22, before I got my implants, that this is how I would be looking at 35 and that's what I was going to feel confident with, I'd be like, no way. It's because I didn't perceive that. I didn't choose to perceive this as beautiful. And I have to say, like, I'm mind blown. I'm mind blown with how, if you just do some homework and you just decide that you're going to accept your body and you're going to rock it. And I'm going to walk around naked, and like not to get too descriptive, but like my boobs, like when they take your breast implants out, first of all, they have bruises on them. Second of all, I have the big scar. Third, they look deflated. Like, they literally look like raisins. So for anybody that is interested in getting their breast implants out, they go through a really funky phase and they don't look attractive. But you know what? You have to rock it anyways, because you're healthier and you feel good and you just choose to. And they change over time. They go through fluffing and they kind of soften again and they don't look as wrinkly and all that kind of stuff. But like, I could sit there and I could dwell and I could look at myself in the mirror and judge myself and be angry that I put them in and be angry that this is happening to me and why did I get this, and not everyone that has breast implants get this, and like, or I could just be like, yes, I feel good. I have color back in my fucking skin. I'm energized again. Yeah, I got small tits, but I also have a man that loves me and he doesn't care. And you know what? Maybe deep down he has a little bit of caring. I don't know, but he's not showing it. And that's amazing. I'm really lucky to have a supportive husband that way. But I think part of it is me. Like, if I was sitting and crying all the time, he's not going to feel like, and I was always so insecure about the way I was looking or sitting and like, oh, my boob looks deflated, really deflated this way. I'm not going to sit like this naked. Or, you know, when I go into the shower, I didn't think I was going to want him to see me in the shower. Like, if I was being like that, that wouldn't be attractive to him. He'd be like, wow, she's like, he would try to make me, you're beautiful. But like, that wouldn't be attractive. Like, that wouldn't be like, oh, like, I have to just rock it and just like be like, I'm like, wow, Matt, look at my boobs. They've changed again in just a day. And like, you just have to rock it. And that's attractive because you have chosen that you feel attractive. It's like, you always admire women, or I always admire women that are bigger compared to society's I don't know, choice of what is like an ideal body, and then they rock crop tops. I love it. It's so awesome. It's so sexy because they're confident. That is way more sexy than a girl that's like wearing a crop top that's maybe thin compared to the general society's opinion, but looks insecure, uncomfortable, and she's constantly pulling her pants up and like she's looking around to see if people are seeing her, and she's sitting down like, oh, I'm so kind of uncomfortable because I don't want to have a roll. Like, there's like your confidence is your choice, and how you perceive your beauty is your choice. I know there's a couple other things. Oh, I wanted to touch on the whole body. Hey, buddy, did you want to sit down?
To join in?
Yeah, Matt just got home.
Okay, cool.
It might be too low for you. We'd have to put it up.
That's okay. I can just lean back.
I'm just talking about body positive, this whole like body positive movement stuff. Mm-hmm. I kind of talked a little bit about like the changes in me, and so we can talk about that again soon. But I think that this whole trend with the body positive stuff is going on, but I think that if we continue to change our bodies, criticize ourselves when we look in the mirror, diet to like deathly extremes, exercise to the point that we're missing out on functions we love with our families, if we keep on doing all these things, we are not going to have sustainable body positive movement. And we have to kind of like, we have to pioneer all that. We have to sustain all that. We have to be the ones that do that by choosing to love yourself the way you are. And I think that we want to, and I think that there are people out there that are authentically doing it, but I also think that it's a trend that people want to hop on that they aren't actually fulfilling themselves in society. So I want to challenge you guys to not judge a woman that is overweight. And I want to challenge you to not judge yourself when you look in the mirror and you're like, I'm disgusted by my cellulite. It's not disgusting. That's because you've chosen. The thing is, there's people in other countries that walk around with literally cloths around their vagina and their boobs, like way bigger than what we consider is beautiful with our like body, like our thinness, and they don't care. Like, it's like, they have cellulite, they have stretch marks, like, they don't care. Like, it's just all what we think is beautiful. And so I challenge you guys to stop, to not judge yourselves. I challenge you guys to not judge other women, to also not participate in conversations when you're around people that are judging other women for, and you know what, also don't judge them to the other way. Don't judge a woman for going and getting lip injections. Don't judge a woman for going and getting Botox. Don't judge a woman for getting breast implants. It goes the other way too, right? And because that's what they're doing at that point that makes them comfortable. So it goes in all directions. It's not just don't judge a woman that's overweight. It's don't judge a woman that exercises and has an awesome body and you're like, oh, it's nice that you have time to have all the exercise and have a nice body. Like, don't judge women. Like, if we want to have this body positive movement, it has to be like all inclusive. It has to include everyone. It can't just include people that are overweight. It has to include people that are underweight and maybe struggling. It has to include people of disability. It has to include people of different ethnicities. It has to include people, I'm trying to think on the top of my head, like, it just has to include everyone. It has to include people that get cosmetic surgery. It has to include people that don't. Like, I'm not a friggin' hero because I got my breast implants out. The only reason I'm sharing it is because I think that it needs to be shared because it has to do with health, and this is what I do for a living. I talk about health and wellness and living a holistic life, and I think that breast implants can make people sick if you keep them in too long. Sometimes they make them sick early, but I especially think that they can make you sick if you keep them in too long, so I have made it my mission to share that message. But it doesn't mean I'm judgmental of people that get them, and you shouldn't be either. So just because I write this, I better not see any nasty messages about people that get breast implants. Some of my great friends have them. Yes, Candace, I was actually going to talk about that too. I was going to finish with that. Also, how you talked to young girls. Oh, you look beautiful when maybe you should say you're smart, intelligent, and kind. We have already started that with Rowan. And we have already, it's not like we don't say, Rowan, you're beautiful, but like we also try to say, you know, like, oh my God, you're so smart. Oh my God, you run so fast. Like, oh my God, like you're so feisty. You're not giving up. Like we're always trying to point out those other things because we've had so many people be like, oh my God, she's so pretty. You should put her in modeling. Well, that's nice, but like there's a lot more to her. And I don't want her to grow up and think that her only value is beauty. And yeah, so I completely agree. And also how you talk about yourselves, like kids are watching. Like even though Rowan can't completely communicate things, like I don't want her to see me looking in the mirror and grossed out with my boobs. Like I actually showed her what I looked like after I had them explanted because I needed to show her that mommy had boo-boos and because I couldn't lift her up and I wanted her to understand. So I showed her and she just sat there and kind of looked and was like kind of like curious about like, that's different. And I had to be confident when I was doing it. I couldn't be crying and like making her think that like I'm not happy with how I look. Like you have to like walk the walk and talk the talk as well about yourself when you're around your children and your friends' children too. Are you able to put essential oils on the scars? Yes, I haven't yet because they're actually still bandaged. So I have to put like a special cream so they don't get infected as well as like a bandage underneath. But after that, the plastic surgeon I go to see again on Monday, he's going to give me these strips that are supposed to be really good for healing the scars. And then after that, I have to do massage therapy, which Matt volunteered to do.
Sure, no problem.
Massage therapy on the scars so you don't get a whole lot of scar tissue, and a really good essential oil to use for that, I believe, I haven't done a lot of research on it yet, is frankincense. It's supposed to be, I believe, really good with like coconut oil and stuff. P.S. I really do love you. I love how open you are about this journey and how confident you are. Thank you. And you know what? It's not like I'm confident with everything. Like I actually went today with Kaylee. Matt and I are going to a wedding next weekend, and I was like, Kay, my boobs don't fit into my dresses anymore, so I need to find a new outfit. And then Kaylee and I were out, and I was trying on a couple outfits, which I'm going to post on Instagram because I want your guys' opinion of which one to get. And I felt really good in them with my boobs, but I was like, man, my butt's so flat. And I'm like, like this, like back and butt. And so it's not like I don't have insecurities, Candace. I think it was Candace that said that. But I won't, no pun intended, but like I snipped them in the butt immediately. Like I just kind of like, okay, yeah, my butt's flat, but it's gonna change and whatever. Like whatever. Like I still gotta rock it. Like I'm gonna walk in there confident. I'm not gonna be like, don't look at my butt. Let me stand in the corner. Like it's just how you present yourself. I recently heard a stat that girls' confidence in themselves and body image peaks at 9. Wow, that's really young. Like, I was literally wearing modrobs and like really baggy shirts at that point. Pretty scary stat. This type of dialogue you are having tonight is so important. Yeah, thank you. I agree. The Secret is a great book as well to help frame of mind. Yes, I've read that one many years ago. Hey, Heather. Hey, Sherry Lynn. So yeah, the big takeaway I wanted to talk about too, or kind of like and then we can talk to you quickly.
Sure. You've been going for an hour already?
Is it 9?
It's 8:30.
Oh,
what
yeah,
time did you start at? 8?
8.
Oh, my
30
bad.
minutes.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
8:30 you've been going. No, sorry. That's really good.
Well, it's nice that we're just talking about this whole body image thing with children.
Sure.
Is that I wanted to say at the end, basically, that like I dream of a world where our girls can grow up, and boys can grow up, and we are like pro self-love and body positive image, and we're not judgmental of other women, and we're not judgmental of ourselves. And it's almost like I dream of a world where we grow up like it is almost in other cultures, where we're not like have this like onslaught of pop culture of like airbrushing magazines and watching shows where like women look perfect and they have like really sexy, steamy relationships in high school that is like totally unrealistic.
Like Riverdale?
Yeah. And like I dream of a world where like that's not even existent. And like and you literally just, you wake up as kids should wake up, or teenagers or young women wake up, and they literally are just like, what am I going to do today? That's fun. And they're not worried about putting tons of makeup on and worrying about what their friends are going to do, or worrying about bullying. That's another thing, bullying. Like, I know I'm being unrealistic here, but I dream of that world where like we're not so hard on ourselves. And as a result, our children and our daughters and their sons aren't really hard on themselves either. And they are all inclusive, and they don't judge, and they don't bully, little kids that are overweight, and they don't judge and bully kids that are disabled, and they love themselves when they look in the mirror, because they're like, God damn, my legs are strong. I just ran for 2 hours doing soccer. And they're not like, oh my God, I got cellulite. And like, I just dream of that. And I wish that Rowan could grow up in a world like that. Now, I'm not going to shelter her from everything. But that would be really nice. That was the 90s. Yeah, you know what, Leslie? And like I just said a moment ago with like the modrobs and like the big baggy shirts, like at 9 years old, like what the stat that Claire said, like I can't imagine at 9 years old, like me at 9, like caring about that stuff. Like I was not in that phase at that point. Like, did I find like people attractive? Like, yeah, I thought like boys were cute, but like I wasn't like, oh boy, like I gotta put on a little crop top today for school, and like cared what I looked like. Like I wore baggy clothes all the time, and like we would just go outside and have fun. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy because like when we were younger in grade 6, and I always think about grade 6 and grade 5 and grade 7, like we guys and girls wore really not flattering clothing if you were to measured by today's standards. We wore very baggy things and plaid shirts and world famous backpacks and modrobes and things like that. And nowadays you've got kids going to these girls are going to these crazy stores at such young ages and wearing clothes that are just, I don't know, they're just not really appropriate for that age group.
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine, and not all teenagers do this, but like I couldn't imagine like wearing heels and going to high school, or like wearing a dress, or
remember that store we walked into on Queen Street West?
Yes.
And we were shopping. We were looking at everything. We're like, oh yeah, this store looks kind of cool. I can't remember what the name of it is.
I can't either. It's like a person's name.
It's a girl's name. Anyway, it's on Queen Street West. It's right across from, pretty much right across from Much Music. And we were walking through the store, and we were basically, it was like a Forever 21 or something like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Forever 21. But we were walking through it, and we thought, oh yeah, these clothes are kind of cool. And then we start looking around, and it was all like 10 and 12 and 13-year-old girls all putting on these clothes. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't think we're in the right kind of store here.
Yeah.
And we left, and it was actually like that age group girl type of store. Like and I couldn't believe some of the clothing that they had in it. I was like, oh my God, like I thought it was a store for like an adult woman. Like it was just, it was bizarre. And so you know, they put a lot of pressure on girls at a young age to dress like that, and it's it doesn't need to be like that. People should be able to choose to wear whatever they want, I suppose.
Yeah.
So they can choose to wear that or mod robes. I wish they could bring those back.
But there's just not enough of people doing it to make them feel like they're an outsider, right? Like they're gonna feel like they're such an outsider if they do it, and like there is a lot of like peer pressure at that age. I know we're kind of going off topic here, but like I remember, I think I was 17 or something, and trying to wear my first crop top, and my dad was like, no, you're not leaving the house like that. Like it was just like, it wasn't like I went out and bought it myself with my own money that I bought, that I had made working at either babysitting or the grocery store. And he's like, no, like I don't care. You're not wearing that out. And I would have to hide it. But like, it was so uncommon at that point that it was just, where like now, and not judgmental of parents, but it's so common that like you see it more often where like people will leave the house like that. I'm not saying the dads are cool with it, but like you just see it more often because that's what all their peers are doing too, right? So yeah, the body positive or like the peer pressure and your self-esteem and stuff is crazy how young that starts. But yeah, I basically touched over everything I wanted to talk about. Did you want to talk about anything with regards to my breast explant, or do you feel like you're kind of coming in at the end of a conversation here?
Well, it sounds like you went through a lot of things here. I'm looking at some of the points that you hit on, but did you have anything that you wanted me to? Did you want to ask me anything that I could, so I can specifically talk about something?
I'm surprised, but are you surprised at how well I've adapted to this? Because I remember telling you, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna want you to see me in the shower. I'm probably gonna want to have sex with like a bralette on. Like I was already preparing that for like how I was gonna be insecure. So like, are you surprised at how quickly I adapted?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that you were gonna be pretty upset about them. I thought you were gonna be pretty upset about your breasts and how they were gonna look, and so I was preparing myself for that, and I was really surprised at how unfazed you were by them, and that you were kind of fascinated by them, and you know, interested to see how they heal and what was going to happen next. And you know, when you had those drains hanging out of you, you were very confident and comfortable with it, and you know, you weren't in tears or a basket case or anything about it, right? And so I was surprised by that. I had thought maybe there would be some separation anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
So, you know, when you see them sitting on the counter, you're like, those used to be in me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's pretty crazy. And if anything, I think because we've been so open about your experience and all of the science and the research and the testing that we've done to try to tell a story around it, that's made it easier for us to sort of go through it, because we're going through it like almost like not an experiment.
A little bit.
It's a bit of a drastic experiment if we're just experimenting, but you know what I mean? Like we went through it as if it was, you know, we're going through it with both eyes wide open type thing, and we're trying to gather as much information as we possibly can to understand why, you know, you were going through these health challenges, and now that they're out, you're starting to feel really good, and you're starting to look really good, and you know, things are starting to fill out, and you know, everything just seems to be, you know, on the right track.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed with how you reacted to that, because I had anticipated that you were going to be very upset.
Yeah. Like, I knew intellectually that I wanted them out, but emotionally, I thought I was really going to struggle. So I guess that would be my only question.
Yeah, and you didn't.
No.
No, I mean, there was some, you know, moments of like, wow, that's, you know, these are looking really different, but you didn't like, you know, bawl or anything. You didn't. I was thinking, you know, when I called you when you were coming home from the doctor, when you took the wrap off, and he was looking at your things, and you were trying to get me off the phone, and I thought maybe you were trying to get me off the phone because you were upset and you didn't want to be upset, and then you weren't. You just wanted me off the phone because you were
I had to call Fallon back.
You had to call somebody else. So yeah, no, I mean, I feel like you've handled it extremely well.
How does it feel hugging me?
It feels normal.
Oh yeah,
it feels fine.
Does it feel different?
No, not really. I mean, to be fair, sometimes when I would hug you, I could feel those, you know, you were getting really thin, you know, so there wasn't much cushion there. So I could feel the little bags, you know, in between the two of us if I squeezed you hard enough.
Yeah.
I could feel them, right? And so, no, now when I squeeze you, I just feel you, which is nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
And what would you say is the biggest change?
The biggest change?
Besides the physical look, like what would you say is the biggest change?
Well, I think now we're going to have, I don't know, part of the fun now is seeing what kind of wardrobe you want to wear and, you know, going shopping and seeing what kind of outfits you want to wear. There's not really a substantial change to them, really. I mean, they're smaller, you're right? Like, you know, so like, it's not like as big of a handful as it was before, but...
Well, that's why Jen said it's not as big as a handful, it's anything bigger than a mouthful.
Yeah, okay.
So that makes it less of a surface to cover. So
Yeah,
I like,
I mean,
I like that.
I don't really...
Anything bigger than a mouthful is a waste.
Yeah, I don't think that it's, you know...
That's what my dad used to say. Sorry to cut you off, but that's what my dad used to say.
He said anything bigger than a handful.
So like even when I was getting my breast implants in, because like my parents, because I was so young, were a part of this process with me, and actually, in fact, my mom had to sign on me getting the breast implants done as like a co-signer because I was so young. I didn't have like incredible credit at this point. I didn't have a credit. So anyways, I remember my dad being like, anything more than a handful's a waste. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, your phone's ringing. But yeah, anyways, I think we're done here, but I hope that you guys got something out of that. I wanted to share with you how I'm doing, but I also wanted to share with you and kind of touch on body image and kind of my revelation of why I think I'm doing so well emotionally is because I really worked beforehand on body image and how I was going to accept them and how I wanted Rowan to see me accepting them and how I wanted Matt to see me accepting them so I looked strong and attractive, and how I wanted, how I was like looking at other girls that have small breasts that like I find super sexy, and I'm like, I want to wear those shirts. Like there's certain shirts I wouldn't wear with my breast implants because I felt like it looked slutty, right? And so now I'm like, can't look slutty wearing anything with a double A.
Hey.
I'm gonna look great.
You just got the Rachel Green nip-ons all the time.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I've had like nip-ons basically since my surgery. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's funny. Like I look forward to that and like wearing certain things because I was actually uncomfortable, although I really liked my breasts. Like I was really uncomfortable wearing certain things because I felt like all the attention was on my boobs. And not on me. Like it's funny, like before I even got my breast implants, like I would wear a cleavage shirt or like you know, show a little side boob, and then when I got them I wouldn't do that often except at the very beginning, and then I noticed how uncomfortable it made me and I kind of stopped. What did Amanda say? Matt, you are so sweet. You guys are both looking great. Thanks for sharing. Glad things are going well. Thank you very much, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So anyways, I think we're going to pop off now, but thanks for popping on and listening. I was hoping it would be a little bit more of a discussion with regards
it's hard to have a discussion when people only can type.
Yeah, but it can still be a discussion.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
and
You're
the
right.
whole point of Facebook Live is discussion, or I would just do a YouTube video and post it up and
you may get more people commenting after the video.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because like if I just wanted to talk, I would do a YouTube video during the day at like 3 p.m. I'd post it on YouTube, bingo bango, and have Monday or Thursday night off.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But
yeah.
I wanted it to be a discussion. But anyways, yeah, I'll check in here and make sure that I would just love to hear your guys' opinion on like body image, on the body positive movement, on how you're going to raise your children in this super critical world. And yeah, that's about it. And thanks for being such a trooper during all this.
Oh, no problem. Hey.
Supporting me from day one.
Not a problem, buddy.
Yeah. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great night and we will talk to you soon.
Good night.
Okay, bye.